And welcome back to the White Gray Black Weekly Manga Podcast, the podcast where we talk about all of the latest and greatest ongoing manga releases. My name is Bruce, the producer of the White Gray Black YouTube channel, and with me again this week is Gautam.
What's good, everyone?
Please keep in mind, for all major discussions, we will be talking spoilers. This week means up to Chapter 4 of Versus, Chapter 180 of One Punch Man, and Chapter 23 of The Demon King's Daughter is Too Cute. Before we start, let me plug the things that I need to plug. If you want to watch us live, we are live on the White Gray Black channel Tuesday nights. If you want to check the VODs, they will be up on the WGB Weekly Manga Podcast channel on usually Thursday or Friday. I get those up. If you want to listen to us as you walk your dog, like I do, we are on all major podcast providers. Here's the list: Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Samsung Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Index, and the RSS community where you can download the podcast if you want to listen to it that way. Don't forget, if you enjoy this podcast and want to support us, first of all, head on over to the YouTube channels, both of them, and give us a follow. Speaking of following, do that on the podcast distributor of your choice. Also, that helps us out a lot. Likes, subscribes, follows, those types of things. Whatever positive reinforcement they offer, go and do them if you enjoy the podcast. Pause us right now and go do it, and then be sure to come back. If you really want to help us out, head on over to Patreon over at patreon.com/WGBmanga. There you can hear the bonus episodes that we're recording. There's one of them up right now. There will be another one up fairly soon. About once a month you'll get one of those. And I think the next episode we're going to talk about our taste in games, including gaming stories and stuff. So look forward to that. With all of that, let's get started on the news. The first little news thing I have is The Dangers in My Heart, which I know is a series, Gautam, that you like, and I have read some but not all of and enjoyed. Released an anime trailer, and it looks really high quality, really good.
That's
Did you see
freaking
that
awesome. I didn't even know that the trailer had dropped. That's freaking hype, honestly. Yeah, it is. I would say, like I said last time, probably the best running romance right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you've mentioned it in the top romance for sure.
Yeah.
I know that when we talked, I think, about adaptations previously, I said that a lot of the best adaptations are series with good writing and just okay or mediocre art. I think The Dangers in My Heart is that kind of series, and I think that the art getting a step up in here is going to be really, really good for it. So if they adapt this and it is more visually interesting and more just kind of visually stylish, which is what the preview trailer looks like, in addition to the really good writing and the really good character stuff, I think this will be a banger anime.
Yeah, looking for. And I looked at the key visual. They made one of the main characters either taller or shorter, and I can't tell which right now.
Oh, because the girl's always a lot taller than the guy, right?
Well, she's usually a lot taller than the guy. Now they're she's just a little bit taller.
I feel like that changed a little bit because at the very start, yeah, she's like way taller than him. But I remember reading the recent chapters, and they're like a little bit closer in height. I don't know if that's a time-passing thing or just a style change.
That's a time-passing thing.
Okay,
yeah. They addressed that. But yeah, interesting.
But yeah, definitely looking forward to that. Next on the news, one of our little babies that we've liked here a lot, Kindergarten Wars, is going to be releasing 3 volumes in 3 months, starting, I believe, starting sometime in March. I don't know the exact time. This is in Japan, obviously, but because Kindergarten Wars has enough chapters to do this, including, I think, the one-shot, 3 volumes in 3 months, so we will see how those sales go. I think that they're going to be pretty good. I think this is a really good series. I think it's really easy to recommend to a lot of different people. Yeah, and the author has been really over the moon at the reception of Kindergarten Wars, and I think they deserve it. I think it's a really good little series.
It's been really fun so far. I don't think we've had a translation of a chapter in a while, so I think as this blows up, it gets more consistent, you know?
Yeah, and I think part of that is that their move to official Jump Plus publication either stopped or slowed down their publication schedule. I believe that... Yeah, see, I don't know what their schedule is now, so they may have gotten sort of delayed as the previously published chapters get republished. So I don't know when we get a new chapter of it, but it could be after 3 months. So we might be announcing this and be angry at it in a little bit. But but we'll see. But yeah, really excited for that one. So happy for that. Let's do sales stuff real quick. Nothing too crazy here. A romance topping out is maybe a little crazy though. Yubisaki to Renren, which I have not heard of, obviously, is up there at number 1 with a full week on sale. Yomi no Sugai in second with its second week on sale is pretty big. This is a lower sales week though, right? I mean, a lot of times when a big shonen thing comes out, we see numbers breaking 100, 200, even 300,000. Top here for the week is 70K. So a little bit of a lower sales week for sure, which allows
pretty good.
Yeah, which allows the gospel of rom-coms, Kanojo Okarimasu down there at the bottom to inch into the top 10. Happy for Reiji and his waifu. But everything else here is a little more interesting because it's a lower sales week, but there's not a lot here that I actually read. I read Yomi no Sugai, I read My Hero, and I read Kanojo. Other than that, Blue Lock I know is pretty popular. People into that. Blue Giant the Explorer, that looks like my jam. I played saxophone in high school, so that's got a guy playing tenor sax on the front. And then actually a lot more romance and 2 baseball manga up here. So this kind of goes to show how powerful sports manga, especially baseball manga, have been in Japan for the past 50 years. 2 of them in here, Diamond no Ace Act 2 and Mix. Mix was, I believe, also last week on our top 10 at the similar spot, 4 or 5. So
bring back Major.
I feel like there is a sequel to Major that's currently being published, but don't quote me on that. I want to say there's been like a Major part 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There have been like 5 seasons of Major, and then his kids play baseball, and we followed them.
Right, yep.
And I'm sure his kids are playing now, so. Yeah, we have enough baseball stuff. I'm just joking.
I mean, it's kind of the national sport of Japan, if we're being honest. Here's total biweekly sales. So Blue Lock, as you can see, because of its other volume sales, and Slam Dunk are both up there at 1 and 2. My Hero, again, past volume sales, pull it to number 3. Chainsaw Man up there, even though it's not in the top 10, still selling volumes. And then you get our number 1 and 2, this Yubisaki to Renren and Yomi no Sugai. 5 and 6, Tokyo Revengers still sticking around. I think almost the entire time we've been doing this podcast, right, which is like coming up on 5 months, or like 4 months and a week or 2, I feel like Tokyo Revengers has showed up in the top 10 almost every week.
Yeah, it is wildly popular. But for Tokyo Revengers, it's kind of a popularity that I can't fully understand. I understood Demon Slayer way more than Tokyo Revengers. I think I just bounced off it.
I wonder, because I've heard a lot of negative things here in the West about it. I wonder if it has a poor localization or a bad translation team or a bad fan translation team. I don't know. It might just be one of those things that appeals to Japan a little bit more.
I read like I think 40 or 50 chapters or something. Translation was fine. I didn't have any issue with that.
Okay.
I just thought it was poorly written, wasn't very interesting.
I don't know. I'll have to check it out someday. It doesn't sound like the kind of thing I would like, but you never know. Maybe it'll hit me. Bocchi the Rock over here at number 10 actually is pretty cool. I know I was telling a story a week or 2 ago about how that author got swarmed at Winter Comiket, selling all of her volumes, and yeah, still selling, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah. That's hype.
Yeah, so I think that's it for sales stuff. The next thing is a pretty cool announcement. So, Inio Asano has a new manga series titled Mujina Into the Deep. That's going to start in the upcoming Big Comic Superior, which is a manga magazine, which is out March 10th. Asano, you probably know from Oyasumi Punpun, Goodnight Punpun. This is that author's new series. So, I'm girding my loins for suffering, those types of things. I wonder how this goes, because I've not finished Oyasumi Punpun. I've read maybe a quarter of it. and it's really good and really stylish and really interesting. Very sad, very melancholy. I think that's the word. One of the most melancholy things I've ever read.
Yeah, I haven't really mustered up the energy to read that. It's pretty acclaimed. People seem to
It's
find it
very
incredibly
good, yeah.
depressing. But yeah, I have I don't like come back from work and I just don't feel like reading it, even though it's on my list.
That's kind of where I am. If I'm kind of laying down at night or looking to fill some time to read something, it's like, well, I could read something fun, or I could put myself through childhood abuse and suffering and read Oyasumi Poon Poon. It's like, I usually don't choose it. I
Right.
need to get back and finish it, though. It is a really good series. I wonder, you always wonder with a good writer if they're going to bring similar tone or new tone or what. So, Mujina Into the Deep, Inio Asano, that's coming up pretty soon. That comes out on the 10th. We'll probably see a translation pretty quick, I would assume, on the 11th or 12th from fans here in the West. So,
Yeah, I bet.
let's see. 6P Pianissimo 6P. This is the music series. This was published in Weekly Shonen Jump. Had an abrupt final chapter this past weekend. It ended. I believe it was chapter 70 was where that ended. Did you read or hear anything about this?
No, I mean, I read the first chapter of it, and we talked about how it's ending, but why don't you go ahead and talk about the notes you have here? That's
Yeah, so
bizarre.
I flipped through the chapter and I read some comments and some stuff that people said. Apparently, the main character has some kind of, I don't know. This is where you're going to go in the comments and correct everything I say if you've read this series. Some kind of split personality or two personalities controlling him. One of them gets forced into the back and he slaps his father in the face and says something that's very accusatory, like speaking to Weekly Shonen Jump for canceling this series. I will say 70 is a strange time to cancel a series, but not unheard of, right? Usually surviving past your first 6 to 8 months means that you're in a pretty good spot. I do wonder if it was just sales slipping, I assume, for this. I mean, I think, like I've said, I think everything that Weekly Shonen Jump has canceled has been pretty deserved, and I haven't... Usually, if the series is really good or has some interesting moments, you will see it pop up as like, wow, look at this cool panel on Twitter, or you'll see a Reddit post about like, why aren't people reading this? You should be reading this. It's really good. And I have not seen that for PPP. I have not seen that. When it got canceled, I obviously read the comments and a lot of people liked it a lot, said it was really good. But I also saw a lot of comments that just kind of were like, yeah, it was, it was fine. It wasn't that good. It was a little bit messy stylistically and story-wise. So it is interesting that the author used their final chapter to lash out a bit, and it got published. So that's interesting.
Just like Red Hood. Same thing.
Did they do the same thing? What happened in Red Hood? Tell me about that.
They went with this incredibly meta storyline, if I remember correctly, about I believe like Red Hood's grandpa that died at the beginning of the game was like the author of the entire story. It was all about fairy tales. God, it was convoluted and weird and rushed. And they took a few jabs at Weekly Shonen Jump as well. So yeah, it's interesting to see Jump posting, like allowing people to post their sour grapes for getting their series canceled.
I appreciate it in a way. It is interesting that they allow that, but I don't know.
I mean, what else are they gonna do? Like, say, oh, it's over, no final chapter. I don't know.
True.
But it's interesting because PPP apparently didn't even have the lowest sales in Jump. Like, but for genre,
I think from what I've heard, like Ginka and Luna is lower, and a couple others, but yeah.
But like Robako, which is still going, is lower, and it's getting an anime, right? So I get why there's sour grapes there.
Yeah.
But I assume it's for its genre that it's low because there's more bandwidth and room for comedies to exist and sell slightly lower than whatever PPP.
Right. I think another reason for this is that It's like about every 6 months, Jump wants to come in with some new stuff. The last wave of new stuff we got was sort of end of October, beginning of November. I assume that this is kind of a make way for new series cancelization. I think in the next 5 weeks, we're probably getting 4 or 5 more series axes. I don't think Ginka and Luna hits. Let's see, we're about to hit March. March starts tomorrow. I don't think Ginka and Luna is being published. I don't know if I'll say. I think it does get published in April. I don't think Ginka and Luna makes it to May. I don't think. See, I don't know about the others because they're so new. I don't know if Ichigoki Under Control makes it to May even. They might. They usually like to give them 2 or 3 volumes. I want to say those new things are at chapter like 14, 15, which is usually around 2 volumes there. So, yeah, I think this was canceled because it was the lowest. It was consistently probably on a downward trend of sales. They wanted to make room for some kind of new series that's coming. I do think we get at least one more cancellation in March or early April, possibly 2 or 3, right? I think we talked about this last week, right? I think Cypher Academy, Ginka and Luna, Ichigoki Under Control, and Tokyo Demon Bride Story, which Tokyo Demon Bride Story maybe was already announced to be canceled, or maybe everyone is just reading the writing on the wall from the story, but all 4 of those I think are heads on the chopping block for those.
Yeah.
If any of them make it to June or July, I'll be very surprised.
And Red Hood, I think, had like 18 chapters, so I could see any of these going at any point.
Yep, and they're right at about, I think Ginka and Luna just hit 20, because what's the Ichinosi family just hit chapter 14, so that was the first, I think, of all those series to come out, and then Ichigoki Under Control was the last, so it's probably at chapter 14, 15, 16, something like that, but yeah, just interesting to see a series, one, make it longer than a year, get canceled, and then, publish a little bit of, not bad blood necessarily, but, a little bit of author's emotional reaction in print in the magazine that they are reacting against. But there was.
I'm reading the final Reddit thread for the last chapter, and there's this screenshot of a panel from Sakamoto Days where terrorists have hijacked a bus and are threatening
Yes.
to drive it into Shueisha headquarters because their favorite manga was canceled.
Yep.
What a wild thing to be able to publish.
That's like chapter 2 or 3, right? Or maybe 4. That's when the sniper
I
guy
think it was
shows up
early
in
on.
Sakamoto. It's early, yeah, but that's a fun.
Yeah.
Sakamoto Days not getting canceled. Pretty high up there. It's interesting every time a series gets canceled because it's like, if it's nobody's favorite manga and you don't have a core of people who are always going to buy your books, you kind of have nobody, right? I don't know who. Yeah, I haven't read PPPPP. I haven't read it. There's 6 of them.
Yeah.
There's 6 P's, I believe. But yeah, haven't read it, but it didn't seem like it was ever good enough at anything to keep going. So I hope the author. I think it was an interesting, inventive idea, especially the music being worked in. Music being worked in Japanese media has always been pretty cool. As I've said before, K-On! Is one of my favorite anime of all time. I loved Zombieland Saga. It was great. I'm not big into idol anime, but I love that show. So
No, that was good. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what the author does next. One last little bit of info. I don't know if you saw this. I saw it because the Twitter, following anime and manga Twitter, means that you're always going to get tweets about the popular stuff. Apparently, Jujutsu Kaisen went hard this weekend. So,
cool.
if you want to sell me on reading this series, because I watched the first season of the anime and thought that the storytelling was awful, go into the comments and complain at me, or sell me on it, because I'm willing to try it. When stuff gets hype and pops off, I want to be there for it. So,
I think my only issue, I like it probably more than you, Bruce. I think Jujutsu Kaisen's pretty good, but I also am not caught up because I feel like the main character had never kind of did anything throughout the whole series.
From what I saw, spoiler
hasn't changed.
panels, one of the things that made this past chapter very pop off cool, most upvoted on Reddit or whatever, was that the main character finally did something, or maybe not finally did something, but they did something and it was really cool. So.
Oh, is that the case? That's awesome.
Yeah. So. All right,
Well,
that's pretty much it for the news. Anything else you remember that happened this week you want to talk about?
Nope, not really.
All right, let's talk about the stuff this week. We actually have 2 series by the same author. Let's start with the newer of his 2 series. So this is, we are now 4 chapters into Verses. So is this a monthly series, I want to say?
It is, yeah.
So we're 4 months into Verses now. We talked about chapter 1. I think we briefly talked about chapter 2. I think we've gotten the whole setup now with this chapter. So I basically have just panels here of all the different worlds because they're kind of interesting to talk about, and then the whole setup at the end. So talk me through what happened in this chapter of Verses.
Right. So
Versus, contextually, like for anyone who hasn't read Versus, basically humanity's fighting against demons, and the demons are just so much stronger than them. They are humanity's natural enemy, and it's like a snake and a mouse. There is 0% chance that humanity can win. So they summon people from other worlds to help them out. And it turns out people in other worlds have similar problems. As you can see in this panel, the people in the machine rule world have robots as their natural enemy. Robots that spiraled out of control, AI getting too scary for their own good. And likewise, they end up summoning a bunch of different people from a bunch of different other worlds who all have their own natural enemies. So parasites is one of them, kind of zombie Last of Us thing.
There's like space aliens, kaiju. Yeah. One of them is just kaiju. I think they call them giants or calamities. Yeah, but it's literally just Godzilla in the background of that panel. One of them is plants. This one is evolved humans. There's a bunch of weird stuff, but
the that one seemed like, I don't know, like a casino world or something. I'm not sure what is going on in that one. But,
they didn't fully flesh out all of these much more than a single panel, but
I like the one on the right, the Mad God world, where it's just a rogue god ruling over humanity.
Yeah.
And so on, so forth. I think there are a lot of cool kind of fucked up ideas of how humanity declines. Except Lawless World, which is Mad Max.
I mean, a lot of these are very, not stereotypical necessarily, but they're, what's the word I'm looking for? They're very just sort of classic tropes, right? Like,
right.
The original world, right, is humans versus demons, Demon King. That's, especially in Isekai and, like RPG lit, that's super classic. Humans versus robots is very classic sci-fi. Parasites is a zombie thing, pretty classic. Giants, it's literally Attack on Titan. Yeah, Misfortune World is just Godzilla and kaiju. Cosmic Devil, Alien Invasion, right? And all these things are like, oh yes, I've seen an Alien Invasion movie. The plant bad guy, that's maybe a little less typical, but that's still kind of tropey. Cruelty World, this is kind of like I don't know if you ever read Brave New World.
Oh, I don't remember any of it. So
yeah, it's a little bit of like, there's humans who have evolved past or upgraded themselves. A little cyberpunky too, maybe, but and then like a mad god, just a cursed destruction world. I mean, this one on the left is literally not Goku Rakugai. What's the Gachiakuta, right? This one on the left is literally Gachiakuta. There's like the toxic, and you have to wear a gas mask and stuff.
And left is one just playing Elden Ring, Huge Tree World.
Yeah, it's so funny. The picture, if you can see it, go check the video. But yeah, the picture here is literally a guy wearing like the samurai opening set, and he's looking at the Erd Tree in Elden Ring. And then Lawless World is Mad Max kind of post-apocalyptic thing. The Recreation World is like a gaming. I'm trying to think of like trapped in a game kind of trope.
Feels like Matrixy.
Matrixy, a little
Player
bit.
One.
Yeah, Matrixy, Ready Player One. I think nail on the head. Those are exact things. A little bit of Wreck-It Ralph kind of inside the game style there. But then kind of like we predicted, chapter 1, right? The main character here comes out and gives us what if we make the enemies fight each other? Which was definitely one of our major predictions back in the day, that, maybe there's 2 or 3 of them and they, rock, paper, scissors fight each other. So.
And then after they fight each other, I'm assuming they just go kill all the bad humans in Mad Max world, because the Mad Max world is not really going to do much for them.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Well, maybe the Mad Max world counters the poison world or the robot world, because they're manual or something. Who knows? I'm guessing we're going to get a lot of kind of. I don't know. I'm assuming it's going to be kind of rock, paper, scissors. Oh, if we put these people against these people. Some of the bad worlds probably team up also at some point, which will be bad news. But I'm really curious. This series is really gripping, and I really like it so far. I think the art is great. It's like, I don't want to say it's like budget Murata, because that makes it sound like it's bad, because the art is really good in it. But it reminds me so much of Murata, just the style, the sort of clean, heavy lines.
Designs.
I mean, the character designs were probably done by one, so that's kind of why they look like. So that's kind of why they look like One Punch Man of Murata. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's just a really good little series.
I think it balances having kind of a goofy, fun atmosphere while also being able to go super bleak and dark with it really well. I think it does both. I still hate that pig mascot thing. I hate looking at its dumb face.
I wonder about the mascot.
It hasn't been around, so maybe he got the feedback.
Well, and also the mascot, I'd say one is pretty good at doing mascot characters, if you've seen Mob Psycho or read Mob Psycho, so that's...
Dimple is amazing, yeah.
Dimple is awesome. And Dimple also kind of has kind of a, like, I don't like looking at Dimple. He's not,
True.
He's not that,
true.
like,
he
attractive or whatever you want to say, right?
He's off-putting to look at, but I like Dimple.
Exactly. Just like it. So we'll see where this goes. I mean, I'm liking it so far. I'm going to keep up with it, read it. I have no problems with it. Seems very good. And they've sort of set the stage, so I think now all they need to do is follow through on the ideas, give us some interesting fights, some good action. I'm here for it.
Yeah, and you got set up with the devil who is in Machine World still surviving, completely beat up toward the end of the chapter. So, yeah, it's just really interesting so far, so we'll see how it goes.
Yep, I'm ready for it.
What do you got this week?
Yeah, this came back, and we thought it was canceled.
Right, yeah.
I think everybody thought it was canceled in the West. Maybe we got the wrong information, but this is a series called The Demon King's Daughter is Too Kind. This is by Gyuya Sakamoto. This is, in my opinion, actually hands down the cutest manga being published right now. It's insane how cute this series is.
I agree. It's this and Yotsuba, man.
Mm-hmm, yeah,
it's so adorable. Yeah,
and this chapter felt like it was extra long for some reason. I feel like they packed like three little storylines in it. I think every other picture I have here is literally just Do, the daughter, like being cute and doing cute things. Like her sitting on the throne is killing me. Something about this person's art and facial expressions and everything is awesome. I don't know. It's just so. Cute things are very appealing, and this is literally the cutest little girl doing the cutest things.
Yeah, and even if the translation's just like a tiny bit scuffed, I appreciate someone doing it regardless, and it just works. What a good chapter. It was adorable.
Yeah, it was awesome. And I'm glad it's not canceled or on hiatus or whatever, like we previously thought it was. So
yeah, seriously. Apparently the author was just taking a break, but at the time, like a year ago, it seemed like it had completely ended. So good to see it back.
Yeah, translation problem. Yeah, give this a try if you're into cute stuff. I mean, you just can't. It's just amazing. So I did want to mention one little brief thing because it was a new chapter 1, and that was this series Beat and Motion. The reason I want to bring this up, even though sort of opinion-wise, you and I both didn't think this chapter 1 was super great. It was kind of okay with decent ideas, but felt a little amateurish.
Mm-hmm.
This is the series from the winner of the Jump Plus reality manga show. It's called Million Tag, that aired, I think, in 2021. This is from the winner of that series. This author's name is Naoki Fujita. They were scouted I think, in Chosen on that reality show by Shihei Lin, who is the editor who discovered Fire Punch, Chainsaw Man, Dan to Dan, Spy X Family. Fuck, I said the X. Spy Family. Anyways, all of those. So Shihei Lin is kind of a rock star. I think they recently got promoted to assistant editor in chief, Jump Plus. Don't quote me on that. But this series is one to keep an eye on, I think. From what I've heard, the second chapter, I think the first 2 or 3 or 4 chapters were featured in the series, in this reality series. And I read some comments about it, and they said the second chapter is better than the first chapter. So you and I both kind of were a little mid on this, but this is definitely just one to keep an eye on, I think, for both of us and for any listeners or watchers here.
Okay, got it. Yeah. And I think we can read a bit more of it and discuss it, because sure. I think the issues we both had is that they explored some
kind of a pacing thing, right?
Yeah, it's a pacing thing. They explored insecurities and passions and what it means to fail, but they didn't give anything enough time. So it felt rushed and clunky in weird parts.
For sure.
But I think the bones are there. So
I mean, it introduced interesting characters and set an interesting scene. It just kind of did it, a little clumsily, but yeah, I think pay attention to this one. I think it's got an interesting start, at least, to be the winner of a reality, manga finding show to be there. So yeah, we'll keep our eye on it. So let's talk about the big focus this week. One Punch Man.
All right. Hey, can I start us off on this one?
Go for it.
Yeah. So One Punch has been beat for beat the webcomic. So if anyone has been reading both, you know that it has been beat for beat pretty much what the webcomic has been doing, and it's delightful. It's Tatsumaki versus Saitama, and it is so fucking fun. It's like the best kind of the best example of 2 overpowered superheroes that can't hurt each other, fighting through a city where they're just causing way too much collateral damage for absolutely no reason, and it's been hilarious. What have you thought about the last few chapters here?
It's so great. I really appreciate after we got the big Garo space battle, which was some of the coolest action that I've ever seen in manga, maybe the best, that we have slowed down and have kind of a little bit smaller, goofier. There's like little fights still, because it's still a battle shonen, but it's still great. And I still just can't, I just can't get over how good Murata is at this action paneling stuff. I mean, I had to put these 2 pages next to each other to show you the sort of 3 on the bottom here. The way Saitama gets knocked around is it's just super good. It's got everything. It shows the speed, shows this impact stuff. If you're curious about Murata's action paneling, the first video I ever made on YouTube is about this. So White Gray Black channel, go check that out. It's great, and it'll explain this stuff to you. And if you like One Punch Man, you should definitely go check it out and watch that video. And this series has been great. I mean, this part of the story has been great. I like Tatsumaki and Fubuki. They're interesting characters, and I like Fubuki breaking up her group and her team's reaction to it, which I don't think I got a panel of it, but that's okay. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. There's lots of setup stuff. Blast is in the mix. We know about the existence of God now, or a god and bad god of some kind. So it's expanding the lore. The actions are still great. It's still goofy and funny. I mean, the ending, the last couple of panels I've got here are also very funny. Yeah, I don't know. One Punch Man is just one of the best. Its publication schedule has also been a lot more consistent the past 2 months, which makes me enjoy it more, because previously Murata, I think, would just take 6 or 8 weeks sometimes to draw like a insane 45-page chapter with color and everything, and it would come out and you would go, wow, that was amazing, and you'd forget about it because he'd take another 6 or 8 weeks to do the next chapter. He's been pretty solid every 2 weeks for the past couple of weeks, so that I think appeals to me as far as like a publication pacing schedule.
And for me, I guess the publication schedule hasn't mattered because I having read the webcomic,
Right.
I know the full story in my brain already, so I'm not losing details here and there due to time going by, if that makes sense.
Right, yeah.
So it's easier to connect in my brain because I've already read it once before.
You've already connected it. You're just seeing it
Yeah.
adapted kind of in front of you.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I loved I love this. This hero named Feather has this whole like little mini arc that the audience is thrown in at the end of, and it's completely interrupted by Saitama and
just Saitama coming
Tatsumaki
in.
fighting.
Yeah. And then I didn't put these, I don't think, together, but this is one that I saw a lot of side-by-side panels of the one version and the Murata version, and it just shows how, I don't like, there's no other way to say it, just like how good Murata is at taking like a child's drawing, someone whose art is, demonstrably bad, and turning it into something that is like epic and still captures the same feeling that kind of amateurish art, the kind of goofy, scary, I don't know. It's just an amazing thing. And then it's great that Metal Bat like runs from the city. He spends like 2 or 3 pages running, like desperate to make it in time to save his little brother, his family or something?
I think he had to go to one of his little sister's shows or something.
That's what it was.
that,
Yeah.
And he had to miss it to save the city because no one else was there.
Yeah, and then it's been like a little bit. It's been since like the pre-Garo fight stuff that we've seen like somebody get kind of brutally massacred. This is like in the early One Punch Man chapters that I've reread more recently. This happens pretty often, right? There's just some giant guy and he gets punched by Saitama and just his face falls apart. And so it's been a while since we've had like a face fall apart in One Punch Man, but yeah, it's just
you got to respect the brutal gore of just monsters getting splattered.
Yeah, it's just great. I mean, yeah, I can't even begin to talk about how good the action in One Punch Man is. Like the smallest things, Metal Bat running is paneled well. This is the middle of sort of a 3-page thing where this porcupine monster exists, is like exploded his head and then collapses in the next one. And just the sort of 1, 2, 3 of the like setup, impact, follow through, which I talk about in the video, is so perfect. And the art here is just great. I think I will always vote Murata as just one of the best all around artists working right now.
I like how you can tell how fast it is too by Metal Bat's position not changing one bit.
Exactly.
Before the splat and post splat. It's like a bullet hit that monster in the face.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a lot to do, and I don't want to get too technical, but a lot to do with Murata understanding, the fact that he understands movement means that he also understands a lack of movement and what that means, and that's why he can do that stuff like that with Metal Bat, right? He knows how to do movement better than anyone, and so he knows that, well, if I don't put any movement here, that conveys exactly what the scene needs. I think also, not to discredit One at all, One also knows these things really well. His art just kind of doesn't stand up as much, and he does kind of less panels than Murata does. So,
right, yeah.
All
in all, great chapter. I think
it's been great. Yeah.
I think there's probably going to be two more chapters of this, 2 or 3.
Okay, yeah, because you've read the original, right? So
right, and it's a shorter mini fun arc. It's not like a Garo style long form thing.
Right. This is much shorter. I mean, the what was the last arc called? The demon or the bad? I don't even remember. It's like half of the series is that arc, right?
The Garo arc, yeah. It's just it's like half the series. I think it's the longest arc so far.
Yeah, I think it's, from what I understand from the webcomic, it's like will stay the longest arc.
Yeah, and I guess this is not a spoiler. The only difference, well, there have been a few differences, but I won't get into those. But the biggest difference has been the Murata version has Blast in it, and the one webcomic version, Blast has not appeared yet. So,
didn't he? I thought Blast appeared when Garo and
in the webcomic, no.
Oh, not in the webcomic. You're saying, right? Okay.
Yeah,
I had that backwards. I was like, no, Blast appeared in the Murata version.
Yeah, so that has been the most notable difference between the two so far.
That's cool. Yeah, so, I should go read the webcomic because I'm sure it's an easy read.
It's easy to read and it's good.
I'll just pick it up from here and see where it goes because yeah.
it's one. The writing is still good, and I think you'll still have a good time with it.
For sure. I need to watch the last season of Mob Psycho also is on my list.
I have to do that too. I bet I love it.
Yeah, I mean Mob Psycho is also great.
Yeah.
Any other little things this week that you wanted to bring up? We got a little bit of extra time, so we can kind of hit on some of the other series. Ichigoki continues to be good and interesting.
Ichinose.
Ichinose, yes. Not Ichigoki Under Control. I'm gonna get those confused a lot.
I was gonna say, did you?
I was reading the shitty comedy manga. It's still great. No, not that one.
Yeah, I don't. Hold on, I'll have to think.
I know that we both thought that My Hero was pretty, good in a vacuum. It was a good chapter without the context of the whole story being terrible.
Yeah, well said. In a vacuum, that was really good. I don't think the next chapter will be very good because I know how Horikoshi writes. But in this chapter, the Dark Shadow guy, I'm forgetting his name. Tsukiyomi, is that?
Yes, that's close, if not correct.
Okay, Birdman. Yeah. He has a pretty awesome epic panel where
cool power up. Cool. The problem is this is the first chapter he's showed up in any real capacity in
since like the Forest arc.
150, 200 chapters. Yeah, it's been a while.
Since the beginning of the fucking series, yeah.
Yeah, there's no lead up into this. There's no, he's been growing slowly and here's the climax of his arc. He just kind of shows up and is like, everyone cooperated and set me up for success. Here's my big attack, and this is the other thing of you mentioned why the next chapter is not going to be good, is his attack's not going to kill the bad guy and it's not going to be over. So, cool. He did this cool attack. We've seen this happen. How many times have we seen this happen? Like 3? This is like the 3rd or 4th time now.
In the last 2 arcs, so many times. The last few I can remember is Sun Eater.
Sun Eater did a big attack, had a big character moment. We said, I think at the time, that's a cool thing, and then it amounted to nothing. Yeah.
It's everything. Ever since like that war arc that Horikoshi did, he brought Mirio back, and instantly the next chapter, Mirio's like, help me out, guys, I need help. And he does absolutely nothing. It's like, that's not great. And then the next chapter, Dabi's like, I'm Endeavor's son. And then they give that like 5 pages, and then they move on to the next thing.
We kind of saw them fight a little bit, Dabi and Endeavor, but that's actually the part. I mean, we'll see in retrospect what turns out to be the best part of My Hero, other than like the first, 40 chapters, which are really good. I think the Endeavor stuff is generally like, again, sort of in a vacuum without all the other things around it. Like the Endeavor stuff has been pretty good. If you like cut out the story and made it about Endeavor in this back half, those parts I think have been pretty well written and pretty well executed on. Like an abusive dad trying to be better, trying to redeem himself. Like that's,
oldest choice Tori has made. I would say recently, in my opinion, the best part of My Hero Academia has been anything to do with Twice.
The Twice stuff was good. Yeah. Oh, that's true.
Yeah. And I think that's about it. That I thought was pretty cool. I like Gentle. I like his
Gentle coming back was cool. That's more of the thing where I understand, like, that's a character you don't need to give development or lead in. You bring them back, they do their cool thing, you get them out. I appreciated that part too. Sure.
And nothing really sticks anymore in My Hero Academia because you need Deku to do everything, and you
checked out. I mean,
the audience knows.
I think the big issue is that we're both checked out of the series. So even when it's good, we read it and we go, okay, cool, it was good, but it's not good enough to get me back in. It would have to be so consistently good for a month or two for me to be like, okay, wait, it's taken a turn. Now it's really good. And it hasn't done that in years. So that's the problem there.
I think we're both in this spot where we are praising things that are standard in other manga, or are standard in other good works because our expectations have lowered. Which is not a great place to be in for like a long running series that we've kept up with for 5 years or something. Yeah,
I mean, I think at this point, because I started reading it as soon as season 1 finished. I mean, I want to go read this, and I picked it up and read it. I think that was 5.5, 6 years ago now. So,
just read Vigilantes, everyone. It's so fucking good.
Yes, we should plug that series more. Every time we bring up My Hero, we should not forget to mention My Hero Academia, Vigilantes, which is just a better written story in the same world. Yeah, that's a great series. I'm now sad that is over.
Yeah, it is. It is a side story. It is not that long. I think it's like 100 or so
It's like
chapters.
around 100 chapters. Yeah.
And the main character is awesome.
So good. All the characters are so good. All the leads in that series are great. We're dreading the main character from Vigilantes showing up in regular because we know he'll just be massacred or just probably not. Nothing will work, but we'll see.
He won't get as much. Just I'd like Hori just not to touch that. It's funny
that
to
would
say
probably
because
be the best,
it's his world, right? So he has all rights to use any of the characters. But I would like those characters to just stay out of it because I don't think Hori can write them well enough.
Yeah.
Into the story at this point of the story.
Yep, exactly. What else in the big block? Akane is still good. Backstory on kind of main rival, maybe? Maybe this is I don't know if this is main rival or just a kind of another hump for her to overcome in the sports adjacent arc that she's going through, but it's still good.
Oh, shout out! New chapter of Yotsuba came out.
Yes.
Didn't notice it. I didn't notice one came out till literally 2 minutes ago, and I haven't read it, but I am positive it's good. So
I saw some reaction faces from it, and it seems hilarious. Yotsuba's on my to read list. That's probably easier to get through than
top 5.
Oyasumi Punpun. So
yeah. I know I say a lot of things are in my top 5, but Yotsuba is the best slice of life in my eyes, easily.
There you go. You heard it here first. What else? Ranger Reject is getting interesting.
It has been interesting and is getting
continues to get more interesting. Yeah. This was the chapter where they tried to sell D on the the idea of the what are they called? Pro Invader Alliance?
Invaders Rights Union.
Invaders Rights Alliance or Union or something, yeah.
I think
it was a good gag to have him almost buy in, and then when they kind of gets looked down on, he's like, wait a minute. No.
Yeah. I actually thought that was probably one of the stronger chapters of the week. We just talk about Ranger Reject a lot.
We talk about Ranger Reject a lot because I think it's really good. So
yeah, I think it's just really interesting. It had one bad arc, but I feel like it's always worth talking about.
It's also it's just such a different, not style necessarily. It's such like a different subject matter and a different angle to everything that it's always interesting to read. I feel like it's different. It's not just a battle shonen. It's kind of this like mystery,
psychological
covert
thing.
It's like a spy thriller is really what it is, right? He's like infiltrating the side and trying to get away with it and dismantling stuff. So it's a really cool spy thriller is how I'd classify it.
The main character is a huge appeal to that story too, because D as the main character, just really interesting, really good main character. And I like that the main character hasn't had a power up. He is still a wiener in terms of power level, if you want to call it that, within the story. He's just tricky. He's tricky and clever.
Yep.
He's a dumbass, but he's tricky and clever.
Yeah, and he also his power up, quote unquote, is just kind of learning and getting in deeper with the Rangers, which is not really a power up, but yeah, getting in deeper with the Rangers is kind of just the thing that's got him going. So yeah, that was good. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. We don't have to spend too much more time here, but
from this week to last week, I think we covered all the big stuff. There's a new Nagatoro yesterday. I haven't read it yet.
I read that. Yeah, I mean it's still good. I think we talked about that 3 or 4 weeks ago, maybe on Valentine's Day. I don't know. Nagatoro is still great. I still enjoy it.
Mirko, new Mirko.
Yeah, new Mirko. I'm not caught up on that, but I need that's another one I need to read. So too many.
Yeah, that's a good one. At this point in the story, it still hasn't gotten dull. She has a eldritch monstrosity who's kind of like in love with her, and there are hijinks there. It's fun.
Yeah, that does sound good. I need to read that because that's the blending of genres like that I find very interesting. And I've read, I think, the first chapter or two. I just haven't been able to stick with it.
Yeah, a solid one. Check it out.
Cool.
I think that's about all I have for the week. I wouldn't say it's a slower week, but I think there are a lot of setup chapters and stuff, so there's not a ton to talk about.
Yeah, and I think we mentioned this last week maybe, but over the over the Christmas New Year's break, the authors get like a week off and they get a lot of time and they get to come back really strong in the new year. And I think after coming back really strong, they kind of calm down and settle into more setup and development stuff, either for the summer or for later on in the year. So yeah, we're treading water, and I don't want to use that in a negative connotation, but we aren't going there quite yet. Although a couple of things I think are going there, we just aren't. I think Jujutsu Kaisen is doing big stuff. Something I'll talk about in my sort of one extra thing here is Choujin X. So I started reading this, and it's okay. This is by Sui Ishida, who's the author. Yeah, who you probably know from Tokyo Ghoul. That's his other major published work. Yeah, it's not bad. It's just also not that good, which is kind of also how I felt reading the first 20 or so chapters of Tokyo Ghoul. It's so weird. It's so weird to try to talk about this because it's so early on. The kind of like power fantasy scaling that goes on is like, oh, there are these things called Choujin. They're just kind of like they're mutants essentially. It's like another version of like mutants. The MC like injects himself with his friend to try to like save somebody by turning into a Choujin. It works. He's like a vulture Choujin, and my stuff is going to keep disconnecting.
So are they like based on animals or something?
You would think, because the first because the first one you meet is like a smoke Choujin. You're like, oh, okay, cool, smoke powers, nice. And then you have like vulture, and then you get like this fucking all right.
God, this manga is really pissing you off, man.
No, I have this stupid. I'll dedicate 60 seconds to this. I have this stupid switcher for my mouse and keyboard, and I actually think it's an issue with my PC. I think that the USB ports are not powered correctly, which might be a thing I could just look at the motherboard and change. But they like to just disconnect and reconnect, and you get the little boom, boom, boom. That's what you've been hearing. So I might go and cut that out if I remember to do it in this episode.
I haven't been hearing that. I wonder if the audience has.
Yes, because I am recording on OBS desktop audio, and I'm broadcasting my desktop audio. You don't hear it because you're only hearing my microphone. So
got it.
Yeah, but anyways, yeah, Choujin X. So, there's like a vulture and smoke are like the first two you meet, and you have like another girl that has smoke powers, and then you meet a snake one, and you're like, okay, I think I get it. It's like very primal things, and then a guy that I just like got through a little arc with. His power is if he throws something when it is done being thrown, it then goes down. But this means that he can create like, not like black holes, but like, incredible like sinking things. What? I don't even remember what it calls him because he goes crazy and turns into like a baseball Choujin or something. I don't know. The power system is very soft, right? It is very non-defined. It's just, it feels, the thing that it feels kind of the most like is just like Devil Fruits from One Piece kind of, where it's like, oh yes, the main character has vulture powers, and then this other person has the ability to control like smoke, which includes fire and heat, and can jet on their smoke to fly. So they're very strong.
That's just better than than the other two you described.
Yeah, and like one girl's like, okay, she's a snake Choujin, but then she can turn really big and be like multiple snakes. And then there's another guy who just showed up who's like, my power is I can project anything I think in my mind into your mind. And he's called like the psychic Choujin or something. And so he's like, oh, I just spent hours watching cockroaches crawl over a dead body, and I'm going to project that into your mind as a torture thing now. But I mean, all of that to say, it's just okay. Again, it feels very similar to Tokyo Ghoul. So if you really like Tokyo Ghoul, I think you'll probably really like Choujin X. Visually, it's just very messy. The paneling isn't that great. The action is kind of all over the place. I like the characters in it. That's definitely, I think, the strongest part of it so far, as I like the two main characters and the side characters are all pretty good. So I'm going to kind of keep, I mean, there's not that many chapters of it. There's only like 30 or 40 chapters. And I think I've gotten through like almost 20 already. So I think I'll catch up and then maybe read it week to week and see if it sticks with me. But pretty easy read, but not too bad. I also tried reading a couple other things this week. I read the first like little arc of Battle Angel Alita, which I think is also called Gunm in Japanese, which is a weird name.
That's a bad mouthfeel.
Yeah, Gunm. Yeah, it's
Gunm.
I read a like early one shot, which was actually really good. I like the one shot a lot. And then the first chapters of Battle Angel Alita. It's okay. It's a little dated, but definitely interesting. I'm curious to keep reading it to see where it goes. Nothing grabbed me or stood out too much. The art and the action is really good in it, especially for the time that it came out, which was early 90s. I want to say late 80s maybe it was published. But that's pretty good. I read a couple chapters of Akira. That's rougher at the beginning than I would have liked, but still the art's pretty good. Has a very cool kind of opening panel or two talking about the nuke that was dropped on Tokyo and rebuilding it and stuff. So, and I know Akira is a classic, and it's also not that long. It's like, it's kind of long, but it's maybe by actual page volume, it's like maybe 100 chapters. It's like, I think 66 like long or 46 like long chapters or something. But yeah, just kind of after reading Pluto, I have been driven to go back and check out some of the sort of classic things. I tried to go read, okay, so Pluto's based on a singular arc of Astro Boy or Tetsuwan Atom. Shout out to my boy in the back. I built an altar to back there. You can see Tetsuwan Atom. I kind of wanted to go back and check it out. And so I read like a quarter of the original arc to see how much of Urasawa's genius writing remained in the original one. And the original one is like, it's nothing. I mean, in the 1960s, maybe it was a little progressive or interesting, but yeah, it seems pretty childish going back and reading it after reading Pluto. So, but it did kind of, like I said, inspire me to go back and add some things that are classics to want to get at least some of them under my belt, so I'm familiar with them. So Akira, Akira and Battle Angel Alita are both kind of in that area for me. So I'm gonna read those. I need to get through Monster again, but yeah, just after moving into the house, getting everything set up, been reading some manga. So,
speaking of old stuff, you should go back and read. Shit, man, what is that? You might know this. It's a robot anime. A mecha anime or mecha manga first, but it's it's like 12 children. They have to pilot this robot and they have to fight like invaders from other worlds. Oh, it's Bokurano.
Yes. Yeah, Bokurano. Yep. I have watched that years ago and I never finished it. I have heard people talk about Bokurano a lot though. And
it's good. It has its issues, but I think it's unique. And I think it's worth reading. Yeah.
It seems dire. It seems negative. I'm trying to think of what the word. Those are not the right words.
Cynical.
Yeah, cynical. It seems very jaded.
Things, yeah.
Everyone has to die. I know the sort of initial plot. I mean, it's like an episode 1 thing, right? But it's like you pilot the mech. After you pilot it, you die, and every child I think pilots it like once through the series or something like that. I don't know how it ends, but I'd assume it's something like that.
I won't tell you the ending just in case. I doubt many people have read it, but the onus of it is that these kids have to pilot a mech to save humanity from otherworldly threats. And the cost of piloting the mech, they find out, they weren't told this. They find out when they first pilot the mech.
Essentially.
Yeah, essentially. If you pilot the mech, it uses your life force, so you croak right after piloting it. So, all of these kids, they seemingly have to pilot these mechs through numerous fights equal to the number of kids there are. So that's the story. It's good.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I've heard, what was it? I think I heard the Trash Taste guys talking about it recently, like in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't remember the context of it, but anyways, I know you've been busy, but you wanted to talk about Elden Ring DLC got announced. this
Hell yeah, brother.
morning at like 2 a.m. our time.
I saw it this morning at 2 a.m. our time.
I
I was
also
gonna
saw
ping
it,
you
yeah.
about it. I was just like, no, Bruce is asleep. This is too degenerate. I'll talk to him about it tomorrow. Yeah, it looks sick.
It's gonna be
If
good.
you,
Doesn't matter what
if
they could have had no image, and we would have been like, yeah, it looks amazing. It's gonna be awesome.
I am bought by just the words Elden Ring DLC. FromSoft has not missed on any of their Soulsborne DLCs.
Nope.
In fact, I can't think of a Soulsborne DLC that has been worse than the base game. They've all been better.
Interesting.
Especially Bloodborne. That feels like its own game, and it's the best thing they've ever put out in my eyes. So yeah, looking forward to the Elden Ring DLC.
Yeah, me too. I hope, I was talking to you about this earlier, but I hope that they have a bad habit of making the DLC accessible by completing anywhere from like a quarter to like over half of the game to access it. And I hope that they don't, because Elden Ring is like a 100-hour game, surely they can't lock it behind something like that, right? They're
going to 100%.
Yeah, I'm sure they do, but we'll have to see. I hope that I still have my save that I can load up at the end of the game and go and do it. That would be my like key thing, because there's a couple of like changes to the world that you can't go back on. I hope it's not like, oh, if that happens, you can't go do it, so you have to do it before this time. Because like there was one time where I tried to get to the Dark Souls 3 DLC, and I started a new character to do it, and it's like, you have to play like 15 hours of that game to get to the DLC, and it's like, I don't want to do that. I want to go and play the DLC. Bloodborne's very similar too, right? Bloodborne, you have to clear. I mean, you can get to it early, but you're like incredibly underleveled. Even then, it's like 8 hours into the game, right? Like 6 or 8 hours in.
It is the hardest content in the game, so even if you get to the Bloodborne stuff early, I don't see you beating it unless you've gotten through most of the game.
Right, you essentially have to be end game or near end game to go through it. So yeah,
unless you're that good, you know.
True.
Which some people are. So
who knows?
Yeah. And some Soulsborne fans are just nuts. They are cracked.
They
at the
are.
Game, so
yeah,
they can do it whenever, but us mortals have to wait till our character has a moderate amount of HP so we can survive more than one hit.
Yeah, and grind it out, which I was happy to do in Elden Ring. Yeah, but looks interesting. What are your predictions based on the image? Most people are saying this looks like Mikola.
Mikola.
Yeah, Mikola on Torrent.
In the big blood egg. Yeah, I don't know how Mikola gets out of. I don't know much about Elden Ring lore aside from what I played and read within the game. I haven't watched too many Vati videos of it yet.
Wow.
But yeah, Mikola was in the big blood egg, so I have no idea what's gonna happen here. So question marks for me.
My prediction here, because I'm trying to think, almost every DLC is like a go to another world / here's another alternate past version of the world / here's a completely different place, right? So my guess is this is the past. I'm going to guess this is either prior to, I mean, if you don't know about the lore, prior to the Elden Ring, quote unquote, showing up.
Well,
or
I know that lore because that was all in the game. Yeah.
Yeah, prior to the Elden Ring showing up or right after it does, maybe. I don't know what Mikola's doing there. Or maybe it's like before things happen to Mikola. Maybe it's just a teaser image. Maybe he has nothing to do with it. I don't know.
I think it's going to be exactly what you said. You have to go to like Mog's palace and go to that blood egg where Mikola was and uninteractable. And that is
also my prediction, because that is very far into the game, but you can kind of rush to get there faster if you want to. So
yeah, you can warp there. Mog is a pain in the ass if you're too early in the game, though.
I mean, his whole little temple is pretty shitty to run through, but
yeah. But I think you're completely right. I think it's like a in the past kind of game, but the Erd Tree is also looking kind of burnt right now, so I don't know.
Could be, yeah. It could also be, I mean, don't know how much you know about it, but there could be other Elden Rings out there potentially, so this could be teleporting to another one. There could be not in the lands between. This could be a different land. I do wonder how they're going to include this in an open world type game, right? Because in the past, the FromSoft games have not been open world. They've been kind of not linear necessarily, but like branching linear. So you could branch a path and that's it. I wonder if they're going to drop another area into the open world or if it's going to be a separate open world. I don't know which one I would prefer. I haven't thought about it too much.
if it is in the past, it would have to be a completely new kind of open world because things aren't as broken or busted, or maybe they're more broken or busted.
Yeah, who knows? Usually
yeah,
DLCs feel more broken and busted than the base game, even though the base games
Yeah.
are incredibly fucked up. So
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'd agree. Usually, FromSoft does linear stuff, but Elden Ring is open world, so it seems like it would take way more work to create a DLC for it. So I'm curious to see when this comes out, first of all, and how they're going to even do it. But I believe in FromSoft. I think this will be.
I do. I mean, I've no
amazing.
I'm sure it'll be great. I'm super excited to watch speedrunners do it. That's like my comfort streamer is to just find an Elden Ring speedrunner or any FromSoft game speedrunner and just watch them do their thing, because those games are very fun to watch get broken or just be really good at. Put bosses to sleep or poison them and run away or trick them off a ledge. I think it's always fun to watch. So yeah, I'm hyped for this too.
Yeah, there was this dude, I'm forgetting his name, but it was in Dark Souls 2. He wasn't I think he wasn't a speedrunner, but he was completely naked and just had 2 bucklers on his hands. And he spawned a fight with 2 pursuers, which is like this incredibly hard enemy in Dark Souls 2. And he just dual parried them at every opportunity, and I'm like, this person's not a real. This is a human being can't perform this shit. But yeah, that's Soul speedrunners, man. They are insane and cracked.
Yep.
So yeah, looking forward to this either way.
Yeah, it'll be good. I'm guessing this comes out in about a year, maybe even a little less. This might come out
a year. Yeah.
Could come out near Christmas or could be right at 2 years after. So who knows? Looking forward to it.
There is also more news on FF16, by the way. I don't know if
I saw that came out today. Yeah, I saw a little bit of it. I didn't fully read or watch it all, but it seems good. I mean, my hot take is there has not been a truly good mainline Final Fantasy numbered game since 10. I do not include 7R in there because I think 7R was fucking awesome.
It was amazing, yeah.
12 was okay, probably the best of the bunch. 13 was linear and the story was meh.
13 was so weird. I think I am one of the few human beings that beat that game.
I beat that game.
Oh, you
because it was in college and my friends were all watching me play it, but it wasn't very good. It was just like spam A. You have the right setup, auto attack. It wasn't a very fun game to play, and it was super, super linear. Speaking of linear.
It was so melodramatic.
Yeah, the characters didn't like many of them. But yeah, 14's online, so I don't really include that, although 14's story is really, really good, especially after the base game. Because I've played up through Shadowbringers? No, up through whatever the last X-Spec is. 14's really good. But it's an MMO and it's not for everybody. 15 I thought was awful.
I like the idea behind 15. I like the idea
and a lot of the character interaction and character stuff was good between the boys. Boy Band Simulator, good. Action, okay. The rest of the story, absolute hogwash, dog shit bad. Easily the worst Final Fantasy story, especially in the back half. And none of the okay start to that game excuses how bad the back half was.
I didn't beat it. I was in peak open world burnout at that time, so I bounced off it. But I did watch the movie, the prequel movie to that game, where Jesse Pinkman is the main character. I'm not shitting you here. It is Jesse Pinkman. Aaron Paul plays the main character.
Yeah, the voice is the main character. It had cool action at the end when the stuff goes off.
It looked great. It was a fun movie.
Yeah.
It was jarring though. It was jarring hearing Aaron Paul talk like an anime guy. Yeah. Either way, bad movie, fun movie though. I don't regret spending time with that one. Yeah. Because Squeenix makes cool action.
Yeah, and they go for it, even though if it jumps the shark or not. We'll see. But I'm curious to check out Final Fantasy 16. I hope it's good. I was talking with my roommate about it earlier. I hope it's good because, like I said, I don't think there's been a really good mainline, next in the number Final Fantasy since 10. So, because 11 was online, 12 was just okay, 13 was not good, 14 was online, 15 was bad. So yeah. 16,
but it is the 14 guy who is leading it, Yoshi P.
Yeah, Yoshi P, and he's some kind of powerhouse. I mean, the very short amount of time that I've spent with 14 online, pretty much every time he comes out and talks about stuff, it's like, yeah, nice. He's making the right decisions. He's making the good stuff. He's doing the things that players want. He's working towards good stuff. I think he's a great director. I hope Square would be incredibly wrong to ever lose that guy. I'm sure he's tried to be sniped, but yeah, keep him on everything, and keep the other dude away from everything. The guy who does Kingdom Hearts.
He's a one-man marketing team by himself. His reputation is so good.
He's a rock star pretty much now.
Yeah.
Especially for the people from 14, they'll follow him and listen to anything he does.
Yeah. He's like so beloved that like I feel like people know about him even if they haven't played Final Fantasy, and that says a lot.
I think for sure you're right. I had heard about Yoshi P before I played, and after I played, I was like, oh yeah, you listen to an announcement or two, but.
Yeah, and his communications about the game have been pretty honest.
He's very. I mean, that's like why he's a rock star. Is that he's been doing for years. He's been coming out and like giving honest things and giving players what they want and trying to like improve things. And even if there's little missteps, they'll yeah. He's a great communicator, and he's honest, and he is a rarity in the game development world for sure. Even though I think a lot of people try to be sort of as honest and clear as he is, something about Yoshi P is alluring. He's a man.
Let's get him on the pod.
Yeah, I'll call him up. Yeah, what does he have? Probably like, I have to check his Twitter followers now because I'm pretty sure he's got to be a lot.
If by some miracle we did get him on the pod, would you be as honest about your opinions on Final Fantasy games with him?
I don't know if he's been a part of any of the ones that I didn't like. He might have been the guy who came in to try to save 15 and redid the first part of the game, which is the good part, and left the second part was bad. But I think that was the Kingdom Hearts guy maybe who did that. I don't remember. It's all over the place. I mean, I probably couldn't communicate very well. I don't speak Japanese. His English is probably okay, but not good enough to live podcast. I would tell him, I'm in love with bunny girls. Can we please let them wear hats and have the ears stick through the hats? That's fine with, I think, every single bunny girl player like I am in Final Fantasy. So
I think, yeah, now that you said all this, you're right. I don't want Yoshi P in the pod because I think FF14 fans will freak out on us because of how poorly we do this interview.
I've played almost all of Final Fantasy 14. If he came on the pod, I would probably sign up and push through to finish the last expansion, which it takes a long fucking time to get through those expansions. But
no, you know what? Anyone who knows Yoshi P, tell him he's not allowed on our pod.
Yeah,
we never want him
actually.
here.
Yeah, official statement from the White Gray Black Weekly Manga Podcast: Yoshi P is banned from this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely banned.
Yeah, it's the
that's great.
The first ban.
Yeah, our first ban, one of many. Yoshi P.
Yeah. Well, so let's try to ban one incredibly famous person a week. This week it's Yoshi P. Next week, who knows? John Travolta, probably.
Okay, yeah, I'm down for that.
Let's keep it. Anything else to say at the capstone of the show here?
No, not really. This was a fast one, though.
Yeah, a little bit of a fast one, but hey, I'm okay with a little less than 90 minutes. That's fine with me. Thank you for listening or watching, everyone. Don't forget, if you enjoy the show, giving us more eyes and ears is a great way to support us. Click like, subscribe, follow, whatever platform you're using. If you want to support the channel more directly, don't forget about Patreon, WGB Manga, patreon.com/WGB Manga. You get rewards. You get to hear us talk a little bit more if you enjoy that. Check me out on Twitter at WGB Manga. And as always, thank you so much for being with us.
See you later.
Don't forget to read more manga.